So you want to be a mechanic. That could be a good thing or that could be a bad thing. It depends on, I guess, you. It depends on what you want to be. It depends on your long-term goals. It depends on your short-term goals. Being a mechanic is not for everybody. Doing this job is the hardest thing. It's a very hard job to do. It's not the easiest thing to do. You're gonna get dirty, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna come home frustrated. But there are some things where you're gonna be happy. There are gonna be times where you're gonna be like, wow, you learned a new skill. If you wanna go ahead and do this job, then you have to have tenacity. You have to have patience. You're gonna have your good days. You're gonna have your bad days as well. So this job isn't going to be for the weak. It's really not. There be one of the times where I be even talking about calling it quits. In fact, to be honest with you, I'm not trying to be a mechanic for a very long time. As I'm getting closer to my 30s, I want to be able to work smarter, not harder. But I do not regret my decision being a mechanic at all. I honestly think it's one of the best decisions I made in my life at that time. If you're a kid, I'll say between like just coming out of high school, let me turn around. If you're a kid and I say just coming out of high school and is looking for an opportunity, don't want to go to college, I will highly, highly recommend you going to trade school. Highly recommend you going to trade school. Whether you want to be an electrician, mechanic, construction worker, go to trade school. I'm a big advocate for trade school because trade school changed my life for sure. I was able to make money quickly, stack up bread fast, you know, and be able to afford certain things in my life that I feel like I wouldn't be able to afford if I would have went to college. But here are some things that I like about being a mechanic. Let's start off light. Some of the things I like being a mechanic as, well, one of the things that I like about being a mechanic is that the knowledge is something that you're always gonna have, you know? The knowledge is always gonna be there. And that knowledge is definitely power. You know that you could be anywhere around the world and you be able to fix the car that you want to fix. Job opportunity. Job opportunity is a totally different one as well. I feel like I could be anywhere in the world and nothing, and I mean nothing, you know, or I would never be in the streets. I would never be homeless. I really feel like that because of the opportunity that being a mechanic gave me. I'm really happy about that, genuinely, you know? As long as I got the tools and the knowledge that I have in my brain, everybody's gonna need a car to drive around, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's gonna need a car to drive around. So if we know that, you'll always be making money, baby. You will always be making money. I have friends that hit me up right after I got out of work, my main job, as far as being a mechanic, right? By the way, I'm being a mechanic on a part-time basis now. I'm not a full-time mechanic anymore. I actually have two jobs. I'm a part-time weekend mechanic right now. I'm gonna turn around. I don't want to be too far into the job. I just want to monitor what's going on because I am working as I'm doing this, but you know, trying to do this in one take. But yeah, like what I was saying before is like, yeah, like the money that you can make as a mechanic is really well. Whether you want to even start your own business, that's where the real money maker is really going to be at. Starting your own business as a mechanic. Now, me personally, I don't see myself being a shop owner. You know what I'm saying? At this time of the moment of my life right now. But it does come on my mind sometimes. But definitely, I heard people who do become shop owners, right? They're racking in six figures. They're definitely racking in six figures for sure. Ooh, the sun is beaming right now. They're definitely racking in six figures, you know, and they're successful in what they're doing. It's a job where you could honestly, like I remember going to trade school and talking to my teacher back when I was in trade school, and then he said it himself, like this job, it's how you make of it, or this career. Let me put it. This is not even a job; it's a career. That is career, bro. Don't If you're thinking about being a mechanic or any trade skill, this is a career. Don't follow the whole blue collar, not blue collar. Don't follow the white collar synopsis, bro. Like this is a career. I know that blue collar workers doesn't get the respect that they need to get, but honestly, if that's something that you're worried about on your image, I was going to curse, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's the last thing that you should be having in your mind. You know, like you see this car that I have. Look, let me show you. Look, this car. This isn't the biggest car. This isn't the fastest car. This is honestly a 420i BMW. Nothing serious. But I can tell you this. Some people won't be able to even afford that car right there. You see that? That car right there? Some people can't even afford that car. This car right here, it's paid off. That car is paid off. Okay? That car is paid off. And I wouldn't be able to pay that car off if I didn't have a job being a mechanic and be able to save the money that I was able to save. You know what I'm saying? It's lucrative. I hear mechanics, like the third thing I could say is that is the pay rise. You can make some good money being a mechanic, but you can also make some bad money. It really just depends on where you are located at. As far as the shop, I did diesel mechanic. I did regular car dealership mechanic, which is the worst. You know what I'm saying? I would never go back to the dealership in that flat rate system. Oh my God, don't talk. When it comes to the flat rate system, that's a totally different story. Since I'm talking about pay scale and stuff like that, the flat rate, I tell you right now, if you're thinking about becoming a mechanic and you're looking at working at a dealership at a flat rate system, think twice about it. Think twice about it, or know somebody who's already in the shop that you're really cool with, right? And then try to leverage that and try to find out what that shop has to offer and what the flow is. Because I speak to people. When I first went ahead and graduated from being a mechanic, my goal was to work at the Dodge dealership, and I did that, right? I did that. I got into the job at the dealership. I started off working at $14 an hour. $14 an hour as a mechanic, right? Not a loop technician, actually, to be specific, right? For me, at that time, that was pretty good because I never made $14 an hour before, you know what I'm saying? But like, working over there at the dealership for about a year, um, I was trying to get promoted to get inside the shop. I worked hard, I studied, and I wanted to get in. But like the dealerships have a way on whoever your manager is, they have favoritism. There's a lot of favoritism going on at the dealership. And then once I realized that I wasn't being valued in my work, value of my time, value by the efforts that I put into learning this craft, I had to leave. Respect your time, guys. Respect your time when you're a mechanic. Because I feel like mechanics are definitely disrespected in this day and age, bro. Mechanics are like, I'll tell you something. Before I even became a mechanic, even myself didn't really, well, like, I always had a respect for mechanics because I've always been a car guy. But I see other people how they like look at mechanics, bro, and they look at mechanics like they're, pieces of, you know what. And guys, bro, they don't understand what we have to go through every single day when we work. You know what I'm saying? And I can only speak as and this is for every trade skill, but as far as being a mechanic wise, because I am a mechanic, so I'm still a mechanic, you know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to transition into something else in my life. Until you are a mechanic and you start working at this job, right, or this career, it's not a job, it's a career, you are not respecting mechanic because you won't be able to. Some of these guys, some of these blue collar guys, not blue collar guys, some of these white collar guys, they don't understand, right, the work that we got to put in every single day as a man to show up, to get our hands dirty, to get our feet, hurt, you know what I'm saying? Body hurt, cuts, bruises, going home, frustrated, tired, back hurting, all of that, man. They won't understand that. They won't understand that until they actually do it. So that's the respect. A mechanic, you will get respect. Like you should you should be you should, we're not getting the respect that we're supposed to be getting as a mechanic, unfortunately. But the guys that do the job, the guys that are around the shop, I was gonna say they respect you, but sometimes they don't. That really depends on what shop you're at. When I was working at the dealership, there was a lot of guys, right? There's a lot of guys who were grumpy, tired, frustrated. You know, it's it's it gets into your mind. Like mentally it could drain you as you're being a mechanic. Those are just the cons. That's one of the cons that I'm giving you right now as we speak. You know what I'm saying? I'm just I didn't like have a list or anything or the floor when I'm making this video. I'm just going off the top of my dome. You know what I'm saying? But yes, like I be looking at some of the guys at the shop and they be sad. They be like coming into the shop like not wanting to work, frustrated and everything like that. And when I was a full-time mechanic and I used to see that working at a dealership, working at a diesel shop, it bothered me. Like nobody wants to go to work. It's already annoying to go to work every single day, but nobody wants to go inside a work environment where the work environment is kind of negative. You know what I'm saying? It can be a negative environment sometimes. It just depends on the location that you're in and the type of mindset that people have. People, especially as mechanics, bro, people as mechanics, man, like, especially the grumpy ones, especially the old ones, right? The old ones, you gotta watch out for the old ones. The old ones could be a hit or miss. They could be either be on your side or they could be like fully against you. It just depends on again, location. Depends on the location where you live at, you know? I had countless times where I almost got into it with another mechanic. We all men working hard inside the shop, and we have all this testosterone and frustrations. Because I'm not gonna lie, there's gonna be a time where you're working on a vehicle, and then you will get frustrated, and then trying to fix the vehicle, and then you might start throwing rocks at it. You know what I'm saying? When I mean by rocks, I mean like rocks. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're gonna have those situations where you just like, damn. I have plenty of situations where I was like that, bro. I had to walk off, probably do like a nice little smoke break and then come back and then it clicks in my mind on what it is I need to get to do. But that's every mechanic. Every mechanic's gonna pretty much tell you that situation. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just one caveat over there. Tell you, man, but if you have a woman, man, if you have a woman in your life and you're trying to be a mechanic, some women, they will appreciate, like they will respect it. I don't think at first they will kind of respect it because it's like, oh man, that's getting dirty all the time. Like I mean, any blue collar job really is gonna be like that. Like, oh man, a man's getting dirty all the time. But like if you have a valuable woman and she sees the hard work that you put in and you explain to her the hard work that you put in, she was going to respect you better. She's gonna respect you. You know what I'm saying? But like and then if she's a really good woman, she's gonna be, cheering you on and make you stay motivated to go ahead and continue trying to proceed with your career as a mechanic, Let me give you guys another caveat that I don't like about being a mechanic though. I tell you what, is the amount of money that you guys spend on tools. We spend a lot of money on tools, a lot of money on tools. When I mean a lot, I mean a lot. Like you could easily spend over 100K on tools. And if you're fresh out of trade school, right? No, let me backtrack a little bit. If you were to go into trade school and you don't got the funds for that, you'd be spending at least 20 grand, right? To probably take out a loan, and depending on what school you go to as well, just to be able to start off. It is a little pricey, but like as soon as you graduated, right? If you don't got a good program where you can be able to get free tools, you're gonna have to buy all those tools for yourself. Now those tools are expensive. You could easily spend another 20 grand on some tools, and it just depends on what type of mechanic you are. Me personally, I don't care about those name brand tools. I think those are just, again, name brand. I prefer to get my tools where I'm working it, or I have it, and it does the job. As long as that job is done and completed the way I needed to be done, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you could spend like 20, like you could easily spend $20,000 in tools. I was working as a diesel mechanic, right? At one of the shops I used to work for. I talked to guys that even spent more than 20 grand, more like 40K, $40,000. They even said to themselves, like, yo, I speak to my wife. They speak to their own wife and say, yo, like my wife is going to kill me that I spent like 40 grand on a toolbox and then maybe an extra 20 grand on some tools. And these are name brand. Keep in mind, this is name brand. I don't use name brand. I never spent that amount of money. I was smart. I'm kind of smart when it comes to money. I would never spend that type of money when it comes to tools, unless I got it like that and I'm trying to like produce more content, and then maybe I would probably do something like that. But right now, no, I don't gotta do that. I don't have it right there. I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't have it like that to be able to spend that amount of money on tools. Nah, I take that back. I could spend that money. I could spend that money on the tools, right? But I prefer not to because we're educated. I'm educated. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be smart with your money, especially when we're going through hard times right now in 2025. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer to buy my tools in Harbor Freight, if you guys know what Harbor Freight is. All right, I have to go ahead and change the environment up. It's gonna start to get too hot. I'm not trying to sweat at the time being, but yes, being a mechanic, you know, it has its caveats and it has its pros and it has its cons. You know, depending on where you're at in your life, it would depend on what it is that's gonna work for you. You know, I tell you right now, I personally don't regret becoming a mechanic. I understand, and I've been a mechanic for about 4 years, or probably 5 years now. During the pandemic 2020, I have a whole story. I could tell you my whole life story pertaining to that. But the main reason why I even make this video is to try to inspire the kids who are graduating high school and don't necessarily know what they want to do with their life. And I just tell them, just go straight to trade school. You know, go straight to trade school. Okay, go straight to trade school. If you don't feel like college survive, either you go to the military to get your mindset right, or you go to trade school so that way you could leave trade school with a skill. You know what I'm saying? I personally am not a big believer in college. I think college is definitely a big scam. I went to trade school, spent about a year and a half, and after spending about a year and a half, I was already making some, at least some money. I'm not gonna say a lot of money, but I started making some decent money, more money than people that I know that went to college, bro. And you know, when they go to college, you guys are working like part-time jobs, whatever like that. Nah, you know that. So I was probably when I finished my training program, I was probably at least starting to make, I want to say 40 grand and 40K. And then starting to make 40K at a young age, what I was like maybe like 20 years old, that's pretty good for me because I was still living, I was young and, you know, still trying to get my life together. And 40K is pretty good for a 20-year-old, bro. And in my honest opinion, that was a lot more than the people that I had around me, you know. And it felt good to have money in my pockets. It always feels good to have money in your pockets, especially as a young man, you know. Um, Now, like 5 years invested into it, my goal was to be as a mechanic to try to make six figures, and I had the potential to do it. But now my mindset is shifting to something different now because I don't see myself being a mechanic. But I do speak to people, and I know people who actually made six figures being a mechanic. Not necessarily maybe a car. I lied. My mentor was made six figures easily. He told me that he made six figures every year, being a car mechanic at a dealership. And also work as a diesel mechanic, and I spoke to people who also make six figures in an hourly rate at the diesel. If you were to ask me which route would it go, I would definitely go more towards the hourly rates, especially you could find a shop that pays plentiful of overtime. Because I was working at a shop that paid plentiful overtime, you know, and that skyrocket. I saw my first hit. I saw my first time hitting $65,000 in a year, and what I was like 23. I'm like, wow, that's coming from where I'm coming from. That was a lot of money coming from where I'm coming from. Like, I shot up. I shot up within like 1 year or maybe like 2 years, and got up to 65, coming from like 40K from the dealership at the time. But that was a lot of money for me, and I was able to save. I want to say half of it during that time. I wasn't. I think at that age too, I wasn't like smartest when it comes to that amount of money because I never had that amount of money before. But I was able to still save something while I was spending something, man, and that really was amazing for me um, at that time. But like going back to what I was saying is like, yeah, like if you're a young man, I encourage you to become a mechanic. Um, but would I recommend this for a long period of time? No, I say do be a mechanic for your full time, and then if you could be able to find something else on a part time basis where you're working on your own craft, business, side gig, anything like that, I would recommend you to, prioritize that because in the long term, you will feel some body pain. You're going to feel some body pain. I do have a full-time job working at a corporate office now because I have a goal that I'm trying to reach now, and for me to reach, I have to learn skills that require me to be in a corporate office for me to be able to, you know, obtain those skills. You have to be a strong individual doing this job. You know, very strong individual. It could be physically and mentally demanding. People and if put it down in the comment, put it in the comment section below if you know when I'm talking about people who are already a mechanic. It's like, yo, it's could be physically and mentally draining, but you could love it or you could hate it. The reason why I started being a mechanic because I have a passion of cars. Cars is like one of the things that I always gravitate to. I always feel like I always need to be around a car, working around a car, and doing something with a car. I always been inspired by them since I was like a teenager. You know what I'm saying? And I should probably tell you my whole story pertaining to why I even became a mechanic. Probably another video. I'll tell you right now, if I could help somebody out, I would advise them to either become a mechanic or get into trade skill. Get into trade skill. I have a buddy of mine who was electrician and he was making some good money. In fact, he was making some good money, more money than the people that is going to college. You know what I'm saying? More money than the peers at that time. You know, so if you're okay with some of the pros and some of the cons, um, as far as mechanic wise, and you're willing to grind, you're gonna man up and get the job done when it's time for you to get the job done. Then by all means, be one and go for one. It's your boy Dominic. This is all I have for today. Until next time.